it's paramount that we spread this word, and I really feel that it's infectious. That we need to do what we can do to try to break down those barriers, wherever we, even if we don't necessarily directly identify what the barriers are. The fact that people are talking and looking and thinking about this, that gradually breaks down those barriers, and that's all we're trying to do. Is we recognize that subtly, we can have an impact, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're hoping, and we know in our hearts that the way that it works is start the ball rolling, and the ball will take it on its own. It'll take on its own directions, and our resources hopefully will be, it will be overshadowed by the resources that hopefully would come forward to participate. So that's what we're hopeful for. I mean, that's a dream, if you will, but it's not a plan for us. We don't have, our plan is to ride. Our plan is to ride and to, just let these people know that we care, that there are people that care about them all over, and we're finding those people. They're finding us. Right. It isn't us. We're just out there, and we're doing our little part, and the people who already wanted an avenue are stepping forward and finding us and saying, this is what I know, this is what I can do, this is this is what you should do, and so forth, and we're counting on that. We have limited resources. We do what we do. We know what we know, but it's all coming from the heart. So that's kind of where we're at right now, and little by little, hopefully these barriers will break down, and hopefully little by little things will get better.
Yeah, that's well said, and just what we've been doing, our little thing with diversity and bringing some of this. But in the meantime, semi-loads of stuff out here because the poverty has just been atrocious. I mean, when we first came out, Rod Steiner, who's on our website, called up, said, "Can you come out and bring something for toys in '03?" And I said, "Well, we'll try." And we thought we'd pick up load or something like that. I didn't know what we'd get. We got 3 35-foot trailers.
Those people were ready. They were ready to do something.
People want to help. People want to give. You got to give them an opportunity to do it.
And they have to understand the need. If they don't know the need, and how would they know? How would they possibly know?
And that was without anybody coming out. Then people started coming out here and started seeing.
Yeah.
I brought Jim Hoynes out from my hometown of Rashford. He went back home to a town of under 2,000 and raised 2 semi-loads within a week with the churches in that group.
Well, the resources for this community to be self-sustaining and flourish are out there. I feel that the need is unknown.
Well, and it's giving these people hope. I mean, that was the first time. I don't know how many people when we brought. They said, well, where do people, the churches around here when they bring stuff, where do they? Well, nobody did. They call them South Dakota, the Mississippi of the North, and it was like, why aren't they doing something? And then Benita called up one time. They were going to do the Lions Club, bringing that big, the health trailer out, to check diabetes, and all they had to do is have a Lions Club sponsor. She could not get a single Lions Club in South Dakota to sponsor it. So I got my hometown of Rashford, my buddy who was the president down there, Lions Club of 2,000 people, and he's, we sponsored, Diversity of them sponsored. They came, I had to come out here 2 years in a row, and she came out, we detected over 100 people came in that had either blood pressure, or either diabetes, or right on the obesity.
Undetected.
Yeah, over 100 people in one afternoon. That was like,
yeah, that's just the people who came out their houses.
That's just the ones that came. That's right.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of people who didn't come.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, but that was just that little bit of, nobody had ever done that before. Yeah. And she was crying. Anita's a strong woman. I don't know if you probably met, Donita and Don Laudner's daughter, and I mean, God, she'd call up and just crying. I can't get anybody to sponsor the Lions Club. Then that's all they have to do is have a sponsor, and they couldn't get nobody. Oh, we don't dare to go out to the Indian, Crow Creek had that reputation or whatever, but I suppose it's not same as the others, most of the others. But anyway, it was a beginning, and then they come out and see what's going on, and that's now we got the hospital, we got these doctors and PhDs in Rochester with a church. And I've been trying for 10 years to get them to come out as doctors and help with the health care.
But through the church.
But now they're through the church, and they're cleaning cemeteries. These PhDs
Wow.
and doctors come out one
Wow.
week out of the month,
Yeah.
every from April through June through September, and they do work on cemetery. Take a look at the cemetery right up on top of it. They fenced it. It's immaculate. It was total sham. They'd only burned it. The only thing they had in a lawnmower. So they've come out now. They donated 3 lawnmowers and 2 weed eaters to the 2 churches out. Well, the churches are starving. They don't hardly have them. You go to church, there'll be 3 members. So I'm saying here, churches, because the churches are such a big part of what happened, the negative part of what happened. back
Sure.
then.
Sure. That's
And
right.
so,
That's right.
you know, to get them involved, this is the first time anybody out here's ever saw anybody from a church.
There again, it's another place to break down those walls, to break down those barriers, because
And now they're
those
talking
are,
about doing health cookbooks between each other. They're talking about other projects, you know.
the potential is you know, immeasurable. It's just is there a desire, you know, to be
So
involved.
it all ties.
It
It all
does, it
ties,
does.
and it's just
Yeah.
kind of all we try to do is do a little facilitating. You know,
Right.
we could do a lot more if we had more funds.
Right.
You know.
That's one of the things that happened as the aftermath of our first ride in here. Our contact with the people here after that, they were saying, "Oh man, there's such a big difference here on how people look at each other. You actually got different families to come together and start talking, talking about who they are and where their bloodlines are from, and you know that they're related, you know, 2 generations back, you know." And you know, there's a lot of people started talking after we rolled in here that first year, and you know, that's healing in the community, you know, and you know, it's a lot of that we bring, as we say, give hope. It's more than just bring in donated items, bring in food or money. It's also that you know, we're opening up different avenues for these people to communicate with their neighbor, communicate with the guy 5 houses down. You know? And we get feedback on how that opened up for a lot of people that were almost enemies before that, you know. And you know, they started talking to each other, you know, and they said, "Wow, what a difference you made," you know. Okay, cool, man, we did something, you know. But as far as everything, we've tried to bring some help in here through Boys and Girls Club and Project Head Start. We do know there is a tremendous need for a lot of help. I don't want to just show up with a whole bunch of money and say, okay, here, you know, let's try to get something in here, something where we can create a program where it'll help these people instead of just having a pile of money and say, you know, here, have that. You know, that doesn't.
No, that continues the welfare system. It
Yeah.
continues
I don't
the
think that
reservation
that's.
system.
I don't get the sense that that's what they want.
No.
They're not looking for a handout. But you know, if we can inspire somewhere somehow, some entity that would come here and invest to create something that would help these people to sustain themselves, then we know that the carryover from that is that they aspire then. I want to do what my dad does. I want to work where my dad works. I want to work where my mom works. You know, we recognize that. That's how, you know, and that's beyond hope. You know, that's self-sustaining, and that's, you know, I mean, we'd love to see that happen, and we'd like to think that by gradually breaking down these barriers brick by brick, that those avenues will make themselves available, and so that's what's out there for us,
Well, I thank both of you for taking the time and sharing. I know you've got other places you're supposed to be, and speaking of that, here comes the chief. But anyway, Terry, final comments of what happened today. That's got to be a great feeling. I mean, what happened up there was just.
Oh yeah, each and
It's
every
better every year.
each and every time that I've been up there has been great, fantastic. in all the times that I've been up there at that circle talking, I've seen big tough so-called biker guys dressed in leather talking about their feelings, and I've seen tears flow freely with no shame, you know.
That's right.
And that's some true feelings coming out of these people from the inside, you know. I think it's pretty overwhelming for a lot of people to get that open. You know, it kind of shocks them a little bit that they find that openness inside of them. But I'm glad it happens for them. I think the main highlight for this whole trip was to actually, we made it into Santee last night. That would be Friday night. We got in there kind of late, and we couldn't stay there long. Hopefully next year we are going to be in there. We will be there. I'm going to push these guys to watch the time a little bit so we can get into Santee a little bit earlier in the day. Stop in there. Maybe some people would participate in some camping there, and then continue to ride on up to.
Santee is such a direct relationship to here, and there aren't a lot of economic development is not very much different. They need a lot of, but they got much better leadership. The leadership that's been with Roger and stuff has been more stabilized.
Yeah. And I was very glad and fortunate enough to make that contact with him last night, and that opened up a door. And you know, I explained somewhat, very briefly, I need to get contact with him again so I can talk to him. But you know, I told him, I said, man, you know, I'm bringing these guys in here next year. You know, we'll be here.
I'm glad you did that. That's such a key to connecting this whole network of.
It's Dakota history.
It is
101.
Yeah, it is. It is. And so
Professor Terry on the controls here.
Let me get a picture of Professor Terry.
Well, Sharon keeps telling me I should quit work and go write a history book and take a speaking tour of colleges, you know.
Well,
she said I'll educate the professors, you know.
Or even corporations.
Oh yeah.
Well, that's not necessarily out of our reach, I think.
I don't know. This winter we had contact with Indian Chamber of Commerce in Minnesota there, and we networked with these people and developed a relationship with them. And these people were very, very receptive to what we're doing, and volunteered and came down and worked at our fundraiser events. And you know, they said, you know, come back, man. You know, keep us informed, and they would look at getting some things in here, as some of these places have charity events that they do at their companies, and you know, they said, oh man, I'm gonna go back to my office and put you guys #1 on the list. So you know, maybe when it comes time for the holidays, they'll be in here to help you guys a little bit with some donated items coming in here or whatever, you know.
yeah, I don't think we can count on.
You know, for them to introduce this, but they talked about foundations and so forth, you know, and again, we're hoping to encourage, you know, whatever resources, you know, those kinds of corporations can put out there. And as a matter of fact, we made a contact with one of the people that was there networking, that was from the board, and they invited us to come out and make a presentation at a big event that they do, and you know, that kind of invitation is, again, those doors that open. We're not, you know, we're just putting it out there. Those doors open themselves. So
I'll get Terry's comments on Toys for Tots and helping diversity next year.
Yeah.
He's got a guide in the truck.
Yeah.
Whatever he was.
I'll see if I can repeat it verbatim. But yeah, as far as what diversity is doing with Toys for Tots, no, we cannot rely on what's being done with just Toys for Tots, but we need to open up another avenue for that. And I do need to come down and donate some time, work loading in your trucks and riding in one of these trucks out here to one of these events when you're delivering stuff out here. And maybe I can get some of these other bikers that are part of this organization to come out and participate in that too, because it's another way to show that you are involved in what's going on here.
The ones in Canada.
Joe King.
What does Joe teach?
History.
So yeah, well that's good enough, right? What grade?
12th, 11th and 12th.
Well, I thought the other guy that when you were talking to that didn't know any of that history.
Yeah, he was also no. I can't. I think his name was Brad.
But Joe could say something similar, right?
No,
Joe teaches what Joe
he's got a
knows.
lot of knowledge before he even came. So
Joe teaches what Joe knows.
He teaches what Joe knows. So that's, you know,
Now,
the
yeah,
curriculum's stretched.
Yeah. So would he be a good interview to include if we were to do the doc? Yeah, that's
Absolutely.
And you know how to set him up. We could get him in the city sometime.
yeah.
Okay. So these guys, you two came together a little bit. How did you connect? Briefly, and then we'll let you go.
I don't know, 4 years ago, we just came across a flyer that was blown across
Lisa
the
was
ground
telling the story about that. Get that story.
about
The flyer going
The
across
flyer.
the parking lot.
I don't know, I was sitting out my friend's house. We were drinking coffee, smoking cigarettes and BS, and early in the morning, and the wind was blowing. I remember it was blowing out of the south because it was kind of hard. It was blowing across this way. My smoke kept blowing into his face. And all of a sudden it switches, kind of comes around to the northeast from across the road there, and it blew a paper across. And I saw it blowing around over there, and next thing it ended up at my feet. So I picked it up and I read it, and here it was information about these guys. They were coming. This was like almost 2 weeks before they were coming. So I was reading it, and right away I just got, I just knew that something had to be done, you know, for these guys. Because they were making this trip, and you know, in honor of our ancestors, you know, and banged their heads there for a while, and asked myself what would my grandma Rose Keeble do, and she would feed them and welcome them. So that's what we did. We got a big meal together, and then it turned into honoring the children's powwow. Been my brother ever since.
Oh yeah.
So do you remember sending that flyer out here to him?
Actually, my brother-in-law was the one. He was our media events contact person, and you know, he was throwing stuff in the mail to different tribal entities at different places, and mailed stuff out to here, and did a little email stuff, and you know, some.
That was Dwight.
DeWitt.
DeWitt.
And you know, we made contact, and you know, for that to happen, it was really great. We developed such a relationship from that, and from the get-go, though, it was just one of the biggest blindest steps I ever took. You know, partaking in this, and my vision of it all was, you know, we'd arrive here. And there'd be some old crusty old guy come up and shake our hands. Hey, that was something really good you guys done, and you know, we'll see you again. You know, that was it. You know, that was my vision of our reception. You know, yeah, you know, but you know, the reception has been great. You know, so wow, and our friendship and camaraderie that we developed with a lot of people was fantastic.
Had you ever been to Crow Creek before?
Nope. Never
Was
been.
your first ride was your first time? Both you and Terry Morgan.
I think my brother was here.
Oh, he had
prior
been
to
here,
that.
I think, as an officer.
Yeah,
hadn't he?
he was here a few times. So.
Yeah. Interesting. And your sister Myra came. Was that the first year that she was down at Pine Ridge and then stopped through here?
Yeah.
She was up for election at that time, and she called, or we talked, and she said, I said, well, hope we do well in the election. She said, I don't really care. She said, if I lose, I'm going to come work with Diversity and live at Crow Creek. She was so affected by what happened here.
Oh yeah.
And which it just keeps in the family. I mean, here she's the tribal chairwoman, and then their mother, was Elizabeth, who. Anyway, that's an interesting story. But
you know, I was looking. These guys made up a shirt a couple years ago. It's got an old map on it of the trail.
Yeah.
And I was looking at that the other day, and I started thinking. I was like, wow, the circle has come complete. Because from here in the wintertime, we leave on horseback and ride all the way to Mankato.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just talked to the riders going to Canada.
Yeah,
They're
Unity
just
riders.
leaving Sisseton, and we're going to catch up with them tomorrow.
Oh yeah.
They're going to Spirit Lake, and then
Yeah.
up to on the 1st will be it'd be neat if you guys could be up there for that.
Yeah.
They'll be at the board at the Peace Gardens on July 1.
Oh yeah.
That's Canada Day and Bob Bowen's birthday.
Oh yeah.
And then on July 4th they'll come into the Sioux Valley.
Wow.
I mean, that's all the relatives there that are
Yeah.
reconnected.
Exactly.
Maybe we could have a horse pulling a motorcycle. You don't like my ideas? Look out. We're going elsewhere. Let's go interview him.
Yeah,
Yeah, go ahead.
this guy here, Tommy Grog, I met him at the first time, Broken Bow, Oklahoma, Trail of Tears motorcycle ride down there. And he had on a different vest, but he had the same words on the back, riding the red road. I told him, hey man, cool vest, you know. And talked to him briefly there. And then me and Little Terry went down to get lunch at this place, and then he shows up. And so now it was time to ride again, so we ended up riding over to Okmulgee, Oklahoma. Finished off that Trail of Tears ride. Talked to him then, hung out with him for a while. And then the following year, I run into him in Chattanooga, Tennessee, which is about 800 miles east from there. I'm sitting in a campground and I see this bike come by and I recognize the paint job on it. And I couldn't remember his name, but hey, you, stop! I know you. And so we've been riding ever since, man. We've been bros, man.
Hold up, get that one.
Yeah, we've been on a lot of roads, a lot of highway together. This guy came up. This is his second year up here. Yeah, and this guy come up from Memphis.
I know. I didn't realize that Sucker was a home of their tribe. You know? What was the name of that tribe again?
Cherokee.
Oh, yeah.
There's
Yeah.
other people down there.
Yeah.
Well, that's a tremendous story. You wanna
Yeah. He
adjourn,
didn't,
or you want to start talking about it?
well, in '07, you know, I rode clear to Minneapolis, but I just had to do the whole ride, at least one time. And we get up there and we all get together that night and enjoy ourselves. We had a barbecue at Steve's house, and we leave the next day and everything's going great. And that night we get down there, where was that, the first stop?
Davenport, Iowa.
Yeah, Davenport, but you go across the river to Milan, Illinois, to KOA campground. I went and ate my chicken dinner, and I had to go to the drugstore, and I pulled out, going to go back to the campground. I'm already set up. And I see this car over there. We're at a red light, the only two vehicles at the red light. I go to take off, and she didn't even have a turn signal on. And all of a sudden I seen a blue flash. Down I went. She done hit me, broadside. Well, I don't remember a lot of it because I was highly upset. I remember flipping the motorcycle up. It don't seem too bad, and this little girl come running over and said, this fell off, and handed me my clutch handle. So they had to put the motorcycle on the trailer, carry my banged up body back to the campground, and then we left the next morning. But they trailered the bike, and we finally found a dealer that had a clutch handle. And everybody says, well, you're going home? I said, oh no, if this thing will roll, I'm going.
Yeah.
And so I finished that ride with that banged up motorcycle and me, and then rode clear back home on that banged up motorcycle. But that's the short story of that thing. I mean, it was really a mess. But when I got here and seen what was going on, you know, it just got in my heart. And, you know, like I said yesterday in the circle, I left part of my spirit here when I left, and I just had to get back. I haven't forgot about it, not 1 minute since. I call him regularly, at least every 2 months. That's not too regular, but, or he calls me. I get a call out of the blue. And I'd been thinking about him that day for some strange reason when he called. And, you know, that's really nice.
Here's the dynamics of me and Tommy's conversations. I'm sitting on a frozen lake north of the city, sitting on 18 inches of ice in my little portable ice shack, and I'm sitting there freezing in my little fish hut, jigging up a walleye or a crappie or something. I call him up. I said, yeah, man, it's 78 degrees. I just went for a 60-mile run today, you know?
Yeah, no, you're not riding too far. Made me cold just to talk to him.
So your visits up here come in the summertime.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I was raised in Alaska. I've had enough snowballs to last me all the days of my life. It gets too cold in Memphis for me in the winter. When it gets down to 38 degrees, you know, I'm froze to death. And I can't ride. I'm just so upset. I go in the garage and look at my motorcycle, wipe the dust off. Well, it's coming soon. But I really look forward to this. Now, I missed last year, but hopefully every year from now on, until I can't ride anymore, I'll be right here every year.
How do you compare this to the Trail of Tears where you guys met?
Well, it's very similar, but the Trail of Tears thing has got to be so commercialized. For the first part anyway, from Chattanooga to Florence, Alabama, that's where they end the main ride. But then the next morning they all gather up to leave to go to Oklahoma, wherever they decide. They go to different places. They've been to Okmulgee twice, and then they go to another tribe, the Creek tribe. See the Creek, the Choctaw, they're all out there. And the first year they went, the first year I thought about going, they went to Tahlequah, the Cherokee headquarters, the tribal headquarters. And I like to go on the last part of the ride because there's only 50 or 60 bikes, and those people are going for the right reason.
Mm-hmm.
The first part of the ride, they're just going for the
show.
ride.
Yeah, it's just
for the party.
Dog and pony show.
Yeah, that's really about what it is.
That does attract a huge amount of people.
I remember you talking about thousands.
150,000 motorcycles leave Chattanooga.
Really?
Yeah. You're 60 miles long from. I mean, like they stop traffic for everything. I remember one year we rode across some railroad tracks someplace there. There was barricades on the railroad tracks. They stopped the trains. You know,
well, it's so long. Motorcycles go past the same point for an hour and a half.
Oh yeah, yes indeed.
You can ride along and stop and get you a cold drink and knock down a cigarette. Get on your bike and they're still going by. You're not going to get lost.
Yeah. And every restaurant, gas station, convenience store, they all got big banners out. Welcome Trail of Tears riders. Welcome motorcycle riders.
That's almost Sturgis.
No, this is better than Sturgis because they're doing stuff about Indians. Sturgis is just a bunch of drunks.
I mean, as many number-wise.
Oh yeah, you know this.
I don't even go up there, especially because of that. It's Sturgis.
So now, when does the Trail of Tears ride go? From when to when?
The third weekend in September.
Yeah, September the 15th usually.
And do they retrace from?
Some of
some of the trails.
They retrace the southern route. There's a couple of routes down there. There's one right across northern Alabama. Then there's one. They're using a new route through southern Tennessee. But there's a couple of main routes in that area. But then you also get routes that run way up into Illinois too. Yeah. So southern Illinois.
Yeah, there's one. They crossed right north of Cape Girardeau too. They have a Trail of Tears State Park there, and that's where Chief Bushyhead crossed, and his daughter died right there. They call her Princess Bushyhead. In the Cherokee tribe, there's really not any princesses, but that's what they called her.
Yeah.
So a lot of people tell me, well, my great-grandmother was a Cherokee princess. I just laugh it off,
Yeah.
I know they don't even know.
Turn around, show him. Get a shot of his vest. Turn around the back here on the bottom. I got a little white and they can't prove it.
Point to it a little bit more.
But no, he's got this Indian prayer, which is really good too. So, guy knows what he's talking about when he's
got a little white and you can't prove it.
Yeah. But I try to ride.
How many people on that ride are Indian?
Well, there's a few Cherokees.
But majority would be white in that.
Yeah. Well, I rode up front with these guys several years, and every time I showed up, they invite me to come ride up front with them, and they're the main guard up front, a contingent group of riders out of Cherokee, North Carolina. And
are they the organizers?
No, they're up front riding with the organizers. But they're part of the front guard as representing the native people, so they ride in the front, and these are real.
So 149,000 white people riding behind the.
Yeah.
Following the Indians.
Well, that's interesting in its own regard. But when did that start?
You run into a lot of people there that they say, well, my grandfather or you know,
All the time. I
Oh,
lived
yeah.
in the Carolinas, and I mean, every other person you talk to
Yeah.
is Cherokee.
yeah,
White
Cherokee,
and black.
Choctaw,
Every
Creek,
black
yeah.
person has a
Seminole,
Cherokee.
yeah.
They don't know anything about it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
you know, but they've heard.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that
but
Trail of Tears ride's been on for what, about 15, 16 years
Something
now?
like that. It's been going on quite a
did
long
you start
while.
that early on too?
No, actually, you see the first year, whether it
Over here, 2004, 5, 6, 7. So
Oh, okay.
right here.
and I met him on the
Oh, you
first
got.
one,
Oh
04.
God, look at this.
Yeah, he started the year before me.
I remember when the Terrys. Didn't you go?
I
you
went by
the
myself first year.
and then you got Terry Morgan.
Yeah, I was the front runner of our group, and that's the first year's T-shirt there. But I went down and scouted out and met some really good people down there. Really good people. This guy, you met some of them, Eric, the guy with the white sporty, white fat boy that just broke down on the highway.
Yeah,
I met him first year. The guys at the teepees.
Come on, bud.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah. It was really a.
Okay.
It was an experience, and then they go to all the different tribes. There was 5 civilized tribes
Yeah.
that was all moved out to, including a few Apaches. They didn't consider the Apache civilized, but they was in prison in Florida, and so they turned them loose with the Florida Indians. And
Do they ever have any numbers? How many Cherokee on that trail? It was over a period of time.
yeah, I can't remember exactly how many of it. It's up in the thousands.
Yeah.
A lot of them left
Small
voluntarily because they got this money to leave. Well, and they're the ones that signed over the Cherokee Nation, and they wasn't supposed to, so they ended up.
So the people down there are still bitter about that.
Oh yeah, they killed. When they got to Oklahoma, they found this guy and his family and killed him.
Yeah. There were several of them that went out and done.
Yeah, there was more than one, but the main one, they got him first, and then
Yeah.
I think there was 5 or 6 more,
Yeah.
and they had no right to do that. So they said that's the only thing that would cause, us to commit murder, or, But they did. They got all of them signed there.
Yeah.
Did it start in North Carolina? Did your ride
And then,
start?
Georgia, North Carolina, Tennessee.
Because there's a
Those 3
Cherokee.
states.
Well, I mean, your ride. Where does
Oh,
it
it starts in Florence, Alabama.
So they banished them down
Alabama?
there.
So it doesn't go all the way to where
Rosebud.
Down there.
No, it starts
He
in
got pissed
Chattanooga,
off 'cause they
Tennessee.
signed
That was
that-
the
signed off
start
on the
of
treaty.
where they put them on boats.
Wasn't that
and
Thin
shipped
Hill?
them out. 'Cause there's 3 trails by land and 1 by water.
Oh, really?
Crow Dog?
They floated them up the Arkansas River into
Yeah.
Oklahoma. That runs clear up into Tulsa
They did.
and all up in
You're
there.
right.
They banished them to
That was
one
all around 1832.
part of the country out there, what they call Crow Dog's Paradise.
Wow.
Yeah.
A lot of tragic part of history in it. Well, welcome to Minnesota.
Oh,
I hope
yeah.
you get out of here before the snow flies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna roll here now,
So
so
you're going to get going. Thank
yeah,
you once
we're
again.
running,
for-
we're,
All right,
we're
you're
running,
welcome.
Yeah.
running in the rain. So
All right.
hey, we'll
Take
see you
care.
again, brother Laugh.
Take care.
Take care.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is the 4th annual and how it started and
Oh, yeah.
talk as long as you want without me asking any questions. And
Oh,
then
yeah. My name is Peter Lenkeek. I come from the Birds, the Renvilles, and the St. Johns is my mother's side. I'm an enrolled member of the Crow Creek Sioux tribe here, and spent most of my life here on the reservation. The only time I left was a couple tours in the Marine Corps. I didn't want to come back to this place, but something, I don't know what it was, told me to be here. I've tried to leave before. I just couldn't do it. I always end up right back here. So we're gonna we're the Hunkpati Dakota, which is part of the Medewa-Kantwa band of what's called today the Minnesota Sioux. That's who we come from. All of us here, we descend from them 38 that were hanged. And take great pride in who we are as a people. You know, we were almost annihilated. Our numbers were brought down so far, it's a wonder that we're even here today. We've been known for a long time as a forgotten people. Everybody thinks we're Lakota here. Whenever they refer to Lakota Indians, we're part of that. We're actually just the most western band of Dakota. There are more Dakota that settled up in Standing Rock and Eagle Butte, which is north of here. But this was the main place where Dakota are. And we've been known for years as a forgotten people. But because of people like Lyle here in the Diversity Foundation and the Crow Creek LongRiders and other entities that are not from here, people are starting to find out who we are, where we come from, and what we've been through. Like I said, it's a miracle that we're even here. Myself, my wife, my children, all the other people that are here. And that's how all this came about, this children's powwow, the honoring of the children, and everything we did here this weekend. It's beautiful. I have no other words for it. These guys, they remembered we were here. That was deeply moving to me. I remember my grandmother always telling us that nobody knows we're here. Nobody knows about us. And I have no words for it, for what these guys do. I just can't do enough for them, for remembering us here. This is one of the spots where our people were let off the boats at. There's 3 spots here down this river where our people were let off at, and it just depended on the sandbars in the river and how high the river was at that time, is where they dropped us off at. They were told to drop us off in the most inhospitable place they could find, and this was it. At that time, there was nothing here. Everything, it was in about the 7th, 8th year of a severe drought, and they said that everything was dead here. Even the vultures were dying. And that winter to follow that, after our arrival here, was one of the hardest in South Dakota's history. All of that coupled with the starvation, the brutality at the soldiers, the exposure, it's a wonder we're even here. When our people first got here, I read a lot of journals of the soldiers that were here, the missionaries that come to save us, and all these people that accompanied our people, and they all kept journals and stuff. And they all talk about when our people first came here. They said that almost every day they buried about 20 kids that starved to death right here in this area, and they're buried in these hills back here behind us, these bluffs overlooking the river. The children back then suffered the most. I couldn't imagine it. Our people weren't allowed to leave to hunt and gather what we needed for our family. The Army kept saying, you can't leave, you can't leave. You have to stay here, just wait. A boat full of fresh meat is coming. I'll tell you a story. When months after our people were here and we weren't allowed to leave to hunt and gather, and our people were dying left and right every day, they were starving to death. My grandma even said that they ate the bark off the trees. They would go down to the river and they would gather mice beans, they call them, baby mice. They'd find them nests and they'd throw them in the soup. And they always put a rock in the soup. The boiling water would boil the minerals and stuff out of the rock, and that was sustenance. That was what kept a lot of our people alive. But this man, he was one of the leaders of this tribe, and he kept asking to go hunt, go hunt. They could smell the buffalo up there when the wind was blowing right. The buffalo were north of us about 30, 40 miles, and our people could smell that. So they kept asking to go, and they said, no, there's a boat coming of fresh meat, supplies, everything you need on it. Well, months of this went by and nothing ever came. So this head man of the tribe, he took 3 warriors and they snuck out of camp. They tried to catch the buffalo on foot. They left with nothing, no guns, no nothing. And they were going to try and, you know, bring a buffalo back. But the buffalo had already started moving north by then, and they couldn't catch up, so they turned. They could have stayed out there. They could have left. They could have left all this behind, this torture, this starvation. But that wasn't our way. They came back, and on their way back, somehow they captured or killed 4 deer, and they drug them back down here and snuck back in through the soldiers, come down to the river here, and they started butchering up the deer. And as you can probably figure, you know, it caused like a feeding frenzy. You know, everybody, fresh meat. Everybody just went down to the river where they were butchering these deer up, and them 4 warriors, they didn't take anything off them deer. They didn't eat that whole time. They left it for the people, and they went up the river by themselves. And the army saw what was there. There was a commotion down here, so they come down, see what was going on. They saw these 4 deer laying there, and they asked who did it. And of course nobody said anything, so first thing they did was they went up and they shot a grandmother in the face. And 4 warriors that brought them deer and heard them shots, they come running back and said, we were the ones that brought the deer. So the soldiers rounded them up and took them, and they imprisoned them in the prison. And but 2 days later, a boat did come up the river from the government. But it wasn't loaded with meat. It was loaded with new rifles and ammunition, Gatling guns, cannons, all this stuff. They took them 4 warriors, they tied them up out in the field there, and the whole army sighted in their new rifles on them 4 warriors. They said when it was over, it was just a pile of red stuff over there below the post. Numerous stories like that. They finally released us from the prison. We were able to go. A lot of our people left, went down to Santee where some of our other people were. But a lot of them stayed here. The women, they married into the people that were here already, so they stayed. A lot of people stayed here. And they always told stories of the soldiers riding into camp and just burning everything, just for the heck of it, you know. We'd just get set up, get some teepees, get some, you know, some meat hanging on the racks, and here come the soldiers. They'd pile everything up and burn it. You know, we'd have to start over again. My grandmother talked about a lot of these things, and a lot of them stories come from my great-grandfather, Joe St. John. He was 8 years old when they hung them 38. And he was standing in the front there. And just before they were hanged, they asked a medicine man to sing a song. So he sung this song for them. And he turned to my grandfather and he said, don't let anybody forget this. So his whole life, till he died, every day he got up and he sang that song to somebody. Even if there was nobody around, he'd go out and he'd sing it to the horses. And he would tell this story about what happened to our people. Every day he did that. The song that was sung was passed down from generation to generation in my family, and now my brother is a keeper of this song and that drum from that day. And he comes down here and he sings it for us. When we do things like this for, you know, for the kids, for our people, he'll come and he'll bring that drum and he'll bring that song and he'll sing it for us. That song was from that day when 38 were hanged. It's up to us that are here now to never forget that, to always tell that story. Never let our people forget
what happened to us, what we've been through, where we come from. And that's what all this is about. It's beautiful, the celebration we have here, but at the same hand, it's very sad. Everything we do down here, is to honor the kids, the children, to let them know what a vital part of our communities, our societies, our way of life, what a vital part they are. Because nowadays, it's the children that suffer the most again. They're at the bottom of the list. And it was never like that. Everything rode on the children. A long time ago, every decision that was made for the camp was made with the children in mind. To our people, we don't believe we inherit the earth. We believe we borrow it from our grandchildren. That's how we believed. But with today, it's not like that anymore. It's the children that are still suffering here. We do this to honor the children.
Really applaud what you're doing here, and I've watched you over these 4 years, you and the Terrys come together, which has been a unique coming together in its own sense, and doing it almost telepathically or something. You can say it. But it happens and it works, and it's been an honor just to sort of be a little liaison between you guys and watch both sides grow and develop, and as orators, I just think you guys have all, you believe it. I mean, you feel it, and this is your blood, and so I think it's really important these stories be told from your perspective, and I'm just really happy to see anything we can keep doing. When you went in the Marines, you went in, I was drafted in the Army, and I didn't have any choice, but you went in 2 terms in the Marines. Now, why, given the history of the soldiers, treatment of your ancestors, did you know that history at that time? I mean, why?
Yeah, I knew a little bit of it.
So many Native guys, Dakota people, go in the military, despite the history of our country.
That's who we are. We're a warrior society. That's just, to me, it was never a question of what to do after high school. It was join the Marine Corps. That's, a lot of families here have a deep, deep history in the military, and that's that's the family I come from. Every war that's ever fought here, the United States was ever involved in, my grandpas were there, and a lot of them are very, very highly decorated, like Woodrow Keeble is my grandfather. He was the first Sioux ever to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor, and there's many here. My grandpa Bill Byrd, he was our last chief here. He just passed away about 20 years ago. He was a World War II and a Korean War vet, and was put up for the Medal of Honor in both of those wars, but never received it. Many, that's just who we are. A lot of Native Americans, a lot of us anyway, the people here, there's a lot of Marines here. A lot of them joined the Marine Corps because that's where the best fight was. Our people here, the Hunkpati, we were some of the fiercest, bravest, most courageous warriors this world has ever seen. That's who we are inside. Right now we have a bunch of young men and young women over there in this last war. As soon as that war started, a lot of them signed up and left. It wasn't ever a question, that's just who we are. I've always, the flag, we always honor the American flag. And when I was younger, I never could figure out why. What the heck why do we have this song for this flag? So many of our people have died underneath that flag. What I wasn't thinking about was for the people who died for that flag also. my grandpas, all of our grandpas. And whenever I saw that flag being raised at the powwows and stuff, I had mixed emotions. Most of the time I turned my back because I learned through my grandma what the Army did to us, the government. I never could figure out why we honored that flag so much. And I was talking with this old man on Lower Brule and at the powwow over there, and he said, we honor that flag because so many of our people died underneath it and for it. We honor that flag because we took it from Custer and they never got it back yet, so that's ours. And it's still here. That flag that was taken from the battlefield there's an old woman that keeps it. And nobody knows who, nobody's ever gonna know who, If that ever got out where that was, I'm sure they do whatever they can to get it back. But our people here, we were involved in that battle. The Dakota defended the south end of the camp. They turned back Reno's charge. That was a lot of our people in the Wakbe Kute who are up in Canada. They were also there. And as a matter of fact, I think today is the anniversary of Custer's last stand.
Is it?
Yeah, I think so.
It's not on my calendar, so I wouldn't know. But,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure today is.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Ironic.
We have warriors, we have people that descend from here, of warriors that fought in that battle.
Really?
Yeah.
Has any identification of those
Yeah, we know who they are.
been listed?
Yeah. We know who they are.
Interesting. Gosh, there's so much more. I don't really know. Just, I guess, congratulations again on pulling this off. You almost single-handedly, you and your sister on this end have kept this alive. For I know there's others that reach out and help, but without your inspiration, this and I think
I was shorthanded this year. There's a family here that takes are major players in this. They're always helping me. There's about 15 of them, and they are the Today they say it Pomani, but the way you really say it is Pomani. Pomani. That's how you say it, and that means hoots while walking. And they're a very traditional family, a military family. They keep a flag that was given to their grandpa, Buckley Pomani, who fought in World War I. And he was given a flag by the president to honor the Sioux who entered that war, because there was more of us there than anybody. The president at that time gave Grandpa Buckley a flag that has 48 stars on it, and we raise it every powwow in honor of him. But he was also a very highly decorated warrior in the U.S. Army, and they lost 2 of their grandmothers and a young man this year, so they could not partake in this. In our way, when you lose somebody like that for a whole year, you don't do any public functions, you don't go out in the public, you don't do nothing. You stay home and you mourn for a year. That's why they're not here with us this year. I know their prayers are here, but they couldn't physically be here to help us. But we got it done. We got it
sure
done.
Did. Congratulations.
Me and there was myself, my son, and probably about 7 kids out of the community here, ranging from ages from 9 to 16, that helped me build all this. Wasn't for them guys, them kids and the people that come down and pitched in, like Kitty Wells, our councilwoman, and my sister Lisa, of course. They just, I don't even have to worry about what they're doing over there.
Just ran out of battery.
Okay.